there, I'm Rachel Sylvester, Associate Editor at The Nest, and I'm here today with Bree Romeo, Wealth Management Advisor at Fifth Third Bank. Thanks for joining us, Bree.
Thank you for having me.
This is Money Mondays, presented by The Nest and Fifth Third Bank. Our goal is to provide you with some guidance surrounding your home purchase, which includes costs you should consider when buying your home or renovating. Here at The Nest, we're obviously obsessed with offering our audience the best in decorating and nesting advice and inspiration. Sometimes the inspiration can lead to some major home renovations, which is why we're happy to have Bree here today to discuss some financial tips on renovating your home and how you can prepare for it. So, most of us love spending time on design blogs and inspiration sites, but it seems like there are so many ideas out there, but not much information on how to pay for that exactly. What should you consider before taking on a home renovation?
So these design blogs are incredibly educational and informative, but they can be a little overwhelming as well. So maybe utilize them as kind of a tool to help understand what your preferences are and engage your spouse to make sure that those preferences are in alignment. I would recommend not going over the top in terms of the renovations. So it's great to cater to your preferences, but don't overly customize the home so that you're not appealing to a buyer that maybe would be coming in later to purchase your home.
Okay, but how do you know if that home will increase in value over time?
So you can never guarantee that you're going to get all of your money back. The housing market is very cyclical, preferences continue to change. But what you can do is seek professional opinions, real estate agents that are in the market and that are showing their clients homes and understanding where the needs are, what the kind of trends are in the market. You can also leverage contractors and see what they think, what the cost is going to be and what trends that they're seeing. And then to really get a good idea of the value added is speak with an appraiser. So they're going to come into your home and they'll say, in our professional opinion, here's how your renovations will add to the value of your home in terms of dollar amounts. So you really can get an idea and feel comfortable around those decisions.
Okay, but if the investment does end up exceeding that value added, does that mean that you shouldn't move forward?
It's personal preference. I'd say don't go overboard. You don't want to throw away money, of course, but you also want to make sure that you're creating an environment that's comfortable for you, something where you feel like it's suitable to your personal tastes, but also not going over the top and making it so extremely customized where someone coming in would say, yikes, I don't want anything to do with this entirely lime green house.
Yeah, and that's not good. There are obviously other expenses that come with renovation projects as well that don't come from construction needs and contractors. You should think about if you can stay at home throughout your renovation process, and if not, do you need to stay in a hotel? Or if you have pets, you should take those into consideration as well. Are they going to be bothered by all of that noise? If you're renovating your kitchen, keep that in mind because your costs are going to be high in terms of eating out rather than ordering in.
Right, really great points. One of the best tips that I received as I purchased my first home was, hey, you're a first-time homeowner, don't rush the process of getting into that new home while your renovations are taking place. You don't want to live in a construction site. So if you can avoid it, try to hold off from moving in until the renovations are done, as it can kind of create some chaos in your lifestyle and cause some changes in your day-to-day. Otherwise, you really just want to meet with your spouse and discuss how those changes might impact your day-to-day lives and what expenses you're expecting to incur and what kind of plan you're going to map out in order to pay for these expenses. A lot of times, couples will be on board for the overall end result, but maybe not the process to getting there and paying for it because renovations oftentimes are a little more expensive than you anticipate.
Yeah, I agree. And I would recommend bringing in an inspector who can evaluate your desired changes, and they can take a deeper look into any potential issues that might arise during those renovations. That could certainly help in preparing for those costs. And don't forget to add at least 10 to 25% on top of your total for unexpected costs.
Yeah, that's a great point. This will give you enough information to understand where you can get the funds, if you're able to obtain a loan like a home equity line of credit, or if you want to consider, utilizing your bonuses or your existing cash reserve to pay for these renovations.
Can you elaborate a little more on what a home equity loan is and what that means?
Sure. So a home equity line of credit is really obtaining a line against the equity in your home, just as it states. An appraiser will come in, they'll value your home, whatever gap it is between the loan that you owe to the bank, currently your mortgage, and the equity that is left in the home, the bank may be willing to lend to you against that. There are some pros and cons to this, as with any incurring any sort of loan. Usually home equity lines, you can make interest-only payments, so that helps from a cash flow standpoint. There are no closing costs associated, so it's really easy to set up. It may take 30 or 60 days to get that completed, but once it's done, you don't have to pay the end closing costs like you would a mortgage. And the nice thing is some people just use it as an emergency fund, kind of as a just in case we need it kind of thing. But there are some cons associated as well. You would obtain new credit. So of course, the credit inquiries, the more that you have, it drops your credit score temporarily, so that could affect your credit. It's also an added expense that you need to make sure that you can actually pay for at the end of the day. The bank will have parameters to help you to establish whether or not you're suitable for the actual new payment and the new loan, but you also need to consider, hey, is this tightening up our budget too much, or do we feel good about this, that kind of thing.
So what type of homeowner would you recommend look into this type of financing?
Well, I think a homeowner that may have large expenses coming up from a renovation standpoint, a homeowner that may want to utilize this as an emergency fund, as previously stated, and someone also who can kind of maintain the new debt that's taken on.
Well, here at the Nest, we certainly have suggested some important tips to consider in order to save on renovations. Be sure to get multiple estimates from contractors and for materials to make sure that you're getting the best rate. There's a surprising amount of variation among different vendors, so you also want to consider alternatives for your preferred materials to stay on budget. A good example of that would be considering marble versus quartz on your kitchen countertops. There's a lot of materials that can be interchanged with little noticeable impact on those final results. Do you have any other last-minute tips for couples to prepare on financing their renovations?
So a couple of things. One would be potentially using a credit card with really nice rewards points and a rewards point system to pay for these purchases if you have the ability and the utilization to be able to do so. That can kind of get you more for your money, but you want to make sure that you're paying off that total balance in full, so you're not then incurring credit card interest rates later on. The other piece is some contractors will offer 0% financing for people with good credit scores. So generally that's anything 700 and above in terms of a credit score, and that would vary from vendor to vendor. But that's a nice payment plan option for you. You're not paying interest. Typically it's 12 or 18 months. And at the end of the term, you want to make sure that that is fully paid for. Otherwise, they'll start charging you interest on top of that.
Okay, it's all very good to know. That concludes this week's Money Monday series with Fifth Third Bank. Thank you so much to Bree and the team at Fifth Third Bank for providing insider financial tips. Please be sure to visit the link below to see more financial advice for new homeowners preparing for renovations, brought to you by our editors here at the Nest and Fifth Third Bank. You can also visit 53.com/education to learn how its services can help make your life even better.